Hello everyone and welcome back to Crypto Atlas. In today's video, we will be discussing Bitcoin, Ethereum, Orchid, the graph, and taking a look also at XRP, as XRP is getting really close now to no longer being listed on Coinbase. So curious to see how the movement is starting to sway as we enter into these final hours. And we'll be going into a little bit of news regarding Bitcoin and then going right into the charts. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to hit subscribe. Hit that thumbs up like button as well. Let's try to get to 50 likes on this video. Excuse me for that. Let's try to get to 50 likes on this video. And it really does help us out a lot, guys. So if you haven't yet already done so, please don't forget to do that. And also click the bell icon so you can stay up to date for all the latest cryptocurrency news and technical analysis. Okay, let's go ahead and get into this. First up, Bitcoin struggles to recover after the biggest weekly price loss since September. Prices fell by 6% in the 7 days to January 17th, a weekly fall not seen since the first week of September. The quick recovery from $30,000 or $30,305 amid the continued accumulation by whales paints a bullish longer-term picture. The options market is also biased bullish, with the January 29th $52,000 call option attracting good demand in the past few days. However, it may be too early to call an end of the bull market correction, as the cryptocurrency is still trapped in a narrowing price range of triangle pattern on the hourly chart, as can be seen here, according to Patrick Hauser, head of trading at Swiss-based Crypto Finance AG. And as we enter into symmetrical triangle pattern, it could technically go either direction, as we've had a lot of buying pressure going up. The potential for that pullback and a lot of people still taking profits are there, but a lot of this is also resting on the shoulders of Grayscale. The cryptocurrency could be hurt by an exodus of trend-following investors unless it can break out above $40,000 soon. A team including Nicholas Panagritzglou, or however you say his name, I'm sorry, said the pattern of demand for Bitcoin futures and the 22.9 billion Grayscale Bitcoin Trust will help determine the outlook. They added. The flow into the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust would likely need to sustain its $100 million per day pace over the coming days and weeks for such a breakout to occur, the strategist wrote in a note on Friday. And this is from people that are related to JP Morgan Chase. And here's my kind of thoughts on this. So the thing is that Grayscale's been moving at a very fast pace, and their pace has actually been seeming to go faster as they're actually now getting more clients coming underneath them for their portfolios. So for it to either stop or slow down, it's less of a chance. I would actually look at it maintaining itself or becoming more rapid as they consume more Bitcoin. And again, you also have PayPal that's only in the United States right now. They haven't rolled out worldwide for the ability to purchase Bitcoin through their services yet. And that's supposed to be happening here in like the first quarter of this year. So that's also some extremely bullish news. We could end up getting some other regulations that come in. Some other countries like India has kind of been back and forth about whether it should allow crypto or not. They've been really back and forth on that, actually. So, you know, we're going to have good news. We're going to have bad news for things. We'll have to kind of play things by ear as they go along. But looking at the charts and more of a short-term perspective, we can see things. If nothing crazy happens on the news, that's where we can also kind of identify stuff for more long-term. But unless you've got a magic crystal ball and you know exactly what news is going to be coming out when and what that news is identifying, then a lot of this stuff is speculation, and it's more based on a short-term perspective, right? Excluding the idea of some sort of news. That's the only factors that we can work off of. And news is only a small part of how trading actually works anyways. Okay. Next up is for Iran. Authorities in Iran have seized tens of thousands of Bitcoin mining machines that they claim have been using illegally subsidized electricity from state-run energy provider Tavanir. Tens of thousands of machines, right? According to a report by local media outlet Tasman News Agency on Sunday, 45,000 most likely application-specific integrated circuit or ASIC machines were confiscated. And ASIC machines, for those of you that don't know, are machines designed specifically for the process of mining Bitcoin. The powerful machines had purportedly been consuming 95 megawatts per hour of electricity at a reduced rate, according to Tavanir's head, Mohammed Hassan Mutawalli. Lazida. Earlier this month, Iranian authorities shut down 1,620 illegal cryptocurrency mining farms, said to have collectively used 250 megawatts of electricity over the past 18 months, per a different news source. The country's recent blackouts across major cities have been blamed in part on cryptocurrency mining, drawing the ire of officials who have sought a temporary stay on Bitcoin mining until further notice. Cryptocurrency researcher Zaya Sadar told the Washington Post on Sunday miners had nothing to do with the blackouts, claiming they only made up a very small percentage of overall electricity capacity in the country. In July of last year, Iran penned a registration directive forcing miners to disclose their identities. It also forced them to disclose the size of their mining farms and their mining equipment type to the Ministry of Industry, Mines, and Trade. So if they have regulations set up like this and they're having issues with their grid system for power, and you're seeing blackouts potentially caused by something like this, 45,000 machines, that's a lot of machines. So that is definitely something that could be taxing. And ASIC machines are pretty intensive in that regard regardless. So maybe they could be a little bit more lenient if they find some other more energy conserving methods, such as using solar energy, for example, some sort of permission zone being able to do that, or specific time frames that they're allowed to be able to mine crypto itself, completely shutting off any mining of Bitcoin. I think it's not only bad for them potentially helping grow their own economy, but also the decentralization for Bitcoin itself, as we do want to see other locations besides just China being able to mine Bitcoin. That way then it's less likely to being prone to vulnerable attacks. Whether or not you agree with Iran and whether or not that they should have possession of Bitcoin, that's a political based statement. I'm just stating from a strict fact that whether it's Iran or it's Australia or it's any other place, having miners in other locations, that point is a good point. So again, Iran is a different fact. You can choose whatever point of view you want to say for that, but we do not want all the miners or the large majority miners to be only in China. That's my point. And then over in Canada, an interview with Cambridge houses Jay Martin on Sunday. Harper acknowledged that the dollar had been on a downtrend, but said there were few viable international alternatives, even when looking at the euro and the yuan. Unless the US becomes a catastrophe, it's hard to see what the alternative is to the US dollar as the world's major reserve currency, other than, gold, Bitcoin, a whole basket of things, right? Said Harper. I think you'll see that the number of things that people use as reserves will expand, but the US dollar will still be the bulk of it. And excuse me, guys, I am still trying to recover from a cold, so I do apologize. So that would be absolutely amazing to see some adoption coming in over on the Canadian side. Also, if you guys didn't hear about this, I don't think I mentioned this the other day, but over in Florida, I think it's the mayor, he was actually discussing the possibility of them doing some investments into Bitcoin. So you got a lot of rumors going around. You got banks that are potentially wanting to put some of their assets into Bitcoin as a separate reserve. You've got countries like Canada that are looking into it. You've got states like Florida that might be going into something like that. I'm surprised Wyoming's not saying something like that, because Wyoming's been kind of the forefront of allowing things with Bitcoin. Like over in Wyoming, you can get full property rights purchased with Bitcoin. And give me 1 second here and let me just get a quick drink of some water. Excuse me. All right, let's go ahead and dive into the charts now. So first up, looking at Bitcoin, we are about half hour into the new daily candle position, and we had a green candle, finally a little bit of a shift in the whole status of what's been going on with Bitcoin. The previous day, we did pass through the 21 EMA. Yesterday, the drop down did almost meet up with that line. So right now, the 21 EMA is showing a lot of attraction pull for a downward trend position for Bitcoin. Whether or not it will actually break down below that and maintain the position or bounce off and a continuation up, still yet to be seen. But as it is right now, we're seeing a variety of days. They're all really looking at that 21 EMA. And there is a fight that's going on there for sure. If it decides that it wants to drop down to the 21 EMA today, that would be at $34,447. A further drop down would be at $33,330 as a major level support that I've shown you guys as of previously. There's a weaker form of support I have had established, but I would not actually at this point, I'm not even going to reference this one. I'm going to go ahead and delete it. That was an old trend position. So then the next major level I'd be looking at is going to be at $32,000, a key psychological level, and then further down another major psychological level at $30,000. And as was mentioned earlier in the article, we are forming a bit of a symmetrical triangle pattern, which you guys can actually see. I'm just going to draw it really briefly like this. So based on that symmetrical triangle pattern, which hopefully you guys can see fairly well. All right, I'm going to go ahead and delete that now for you guys. But just showing you very briefly, because of that position, then it's really a question of where we could end up going next. And they're actually talking about that more on the 1 hourly chart. But what I'm showing you right now is on a day chart. So it's interesting to see that they still both coincide pretty well. In fact, you know what? I'm actually going to go ahead and get these lined up for you guys real quick because this could... Oh, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Let's go ahead and get that raised up right there, and let's draw another line because this could end up playing out to when we would see another decisive move for this breakout position. Okay, so based on this, it's looking realistically right around January 24th is going to be a deciding moment. If it decides to consolidate, kind of go down a little bit, you got the 21 EMA that's virtually meeting up at that point as well. So there's a lot of different reference points that are going on. And the concern with this is what direction is it going to go to after that? Is it going to drop further, or is it going to have another bull run back up? And I do believe there's a good chance we could see a push back up, having some of these major candle positions. I'll go ahead and grab this one just for example. If this decides to wait all the way to the last day and then it decides it wants to push back up, that would put us back to the $40,000 level. Testing that, we could potentially then even see it having a further climb back up, but that would still be a substantial candle by itself regardless. So a little bit of a pullback, bounce off of the 40K range, and then just kind of establishing a new higher high position. This is a huge hypothetical situation, so I wouldn't weigh too heavily on it. We can actually discuss that more as we get closer to that date, but do keep in mind that January 24th seems to be a very key point as of this moment. Now looking at potential break up, we do have a level of resistance being set up at $37,500. And then I would look at another break trying to get through $40,000, a key psychological level. Also matches up with my level of my previous old support that was set up here, now forming a level of resistance. Entering in that position also would put us right back in line with that trend line that was being set up back on when we first had this major breakout. So I just copied that position, carried it all the way through, looking at how the trend could potentially go all the way up to the track to hitting $100,000. And if we want to keep that same pace, then these are the kinds of levels that we're going to have to try and mimic and reach for it to be able to do so. So very nice rally that's been going on, but the question is, can it hit $100,000 sometime this year? That's a big question, and at what point in time can it do that? And that's the biggest question of all if it decides it wants to go that direction. Then another major level zone is at $42,288, which is also interesting because that also matches up really well with that previous candle that we've seen. And I think that's more coincidence. And then we got $42,000, which is the all-time high. And then $45,000 is a key level to try and break through before we potentially then go into another major zone, which would actually climb all the way up here. And that would be at $48,130. So that's what's looking like going on with the Bitcoin side. Now let's go take a look at Ethereum. Looking at Ethereum, Ethereum is wanting to try and test that new all-time high. It's been at $1,420 a couple years ago. We haven't been able to pass that yet. This year, the closest that we've gotten was $1,350. So close, but no cigar. We still have a little bit of ways to go. We're finding a lot of resistance coming place right here at $1,283, right around in that range, pushing $1,300. Whether or not it can break that is going to be, I think, a really key moment to deciding whether or not we're going to be hitting it sometime soon. We've gotten close here, but this could be a fake out. And the concern is that this could start to form a double top pattern, which would be suggesting a potential reversal in this respect. So we're heading up to the top here, coming down, potentially coming up to this side, and it may end up pulling back down further once again. And if it does so at this point, based on what's going on with the 21 EMA, even if this starts to curve over and flatline, we would then be entering into an actual bear market position. And that could lead to a more long-term hold on Ethereum before it decides it wants to try and push for its all-time high once again. And you've also got a leading competitor like Polkadot, which Polkadot has been moving up very much inside the top cryptocurrency market caps positions, and a lot of people are looking at it as a leading competitor against Ethereum. So although Ethereum's been around for a while and it does have a big reputation, Polkadot is starting to grow a lot in its own respects too. So the question is Ethereum even realistically going to be seeing that much more of a gain in comparison to its previous all-time high? Or is Polkadot coming in to dethrone it and just show that it's more valuable in that regard? You guys let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. And this, if it decides that it wants to drop down, be looking at a level of support right here at $1,136, another level at $1,100 for the 21 EMA, and then I'd be looking at $1,000 for the psychological point, and then a further drop down below would hit at 907. Quite a substantial drop. Technically, you could still go even lower, and that'd be at $834. If it decides it wants to push up, let's get past this $1,285 range, and then get above our previous all-time high of $1,420, and then really start to push towards that $1,500 range. So there is a lot of room to grow for sure. It's tried having some action up already in the last 37 minutes for the daily candle as of the time of me recording this video. But as you guys can see, that buying pressure has been sold off and it is currently in the red. So there is resistance that is for sure coming as they try to get closer and closer to this $1,283. I can say this though, a lot of sentiment in the community space is that people are ready. Like, they want Ethereum to hit all-time high. A lot of people were really hoping that it was going to do it over the weekend. It didn't end up doing it, but you know, that's what people were hoping. Now let's go take a look over at the graph. And the graph is still rallying very nicely at 62 cents. It's on its run trying to get back over towards the $1 range. It has not actually hit that before. It actually went up to a highest of 81 cents. And based on the Fibonacci retracement position right here, we're going to see some resistance at the 0.786 on the Fibonacci retracement, or approximately 69, almost 70 cents. Okay. So that's a very key level right there. First up, we had some bouncing action off of 66 cents. So let's get past 66 cents first, then push up to 70 cents, and then we're on that run trying to break the previous all-time high of 81 cents. If it decides it wants to pull back down, we have a level of support at 0.618 right now. Another level drop down below would actually be right around 54 cents. Further decline would put it at 47 cents. And then a further level down below that would be at 42 cents. Also keep in mind that we do have a lot of green daily candle closures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles in a row that were all positive green candles, and 3 of those were actually substantial positive volume candles. There was some selling pressure that did take place on the January 17th candle, suggesting that although it was rallying more so in the positive side, that there were people also trying to take profits. So that essentially cooled itself down some on its own daily candle position. Excuse me again. All right, and so that's looking at what's going on with the graph. Overall, things are still holding pretty well. Just a little bit concerned about the fact that we have so many days in the green, but it is trying to get that rally going on. And these previous days candles, if it mimics something like that very well in the next 24 hours, we could be seeing it trying to test that previous high. What's going to end up happening with Bitcoin and Ethereum in the next 24 hours is also more than likely going to largely dictate what happens with this. So if Bitcoin or Ethereum start tanking a whole bunch in the next 24 hours, I would expect this to more than likely also sell off or bounce off of that previous high and have a huge red candle once again, being kind of like a pump and dump type situation as people take their profits. Some people are even suggesting on social media right now to already be taking your profits from the graph and be putting it into some of the other cryptocurrencies that are smaller market caps and trying to move. So one of these, for example, is Orchid that people have been talking about. I personally really love Orchid. and I hope that it does really well, and I think it's got tons of promise. And as of lately, it's been doing good. As of a long-term history, ever since we had this $1 drop, it's been focused on as a pump and dump situation, which has been really annoying. So it steadily dropped its way down. It didn't like to straight cascade straight down all the way back to the previous levels. And there were different releases, different exchanges. There was a lot of different news that came out with this. And so when it started to rally up, unfortunately, Bitcoin had bad days. And then we subsequently saw a huge drop. These different purple zones were key moments that a lot of actual tokens to the initial investors were then released. And based on that, those people were probably then wanting to take profits and selling it on the markets so they can recoup some of their positions, as some of these initial positions were actually around the 50 cent to 70 cent range. And, you know, although they may have gotten in at that point and the price is much lower, they could have bought it also during all this other phase down here when it was around 14 cents, which would have lowered their dollar cost average substantially. And then, you know, they can still take profits during that zone. Anyways, looking with where we're at right now, you guys can see that on the Fibonacci retracement, guess what? Yesterday's candle had a bounce right on the line, right on the 0.5 of the Fibonacci retracement. And as of right now, we're still in a daily green candle. There was a bit of a wick that took place over the last 40 minutes with the retracement back down. As you guys can see, has a very long history of trying to make some big gains and then selling pressure, immediately pushing it back down. I think that could largely be due to bots. I don't know for sure, but there's a lot of what seems to be like swing trading going on with Bitcoin or with Orchid, and it also seems to tend to relate to what's going on with Bitcoin. So if this decides it wants to go up, let's pass 33 cents. And then a further continuation up to the next level would be at 37 cents. Another breakup would be at 41, almost basically 42 cents right there. And then a further up level would be at 48 cents, nearing that 50 cent range, which would then actually put us halfway back to the dollar, right? So we got a lot of different positions to go through. These are some of the key levels. On a daily position, right now, the most imminent thing is trying to get above this 33 cents. And the next major level I'd be looking at is that 37 cent. If it decides it wants to drop back down, we're seeing some support around 30 cents. A further drop down would put it on the 21 EMA at 27 cents or 0.2760. And then a further drop down below that would put us at 0.2636 or the 26 cent range. That's actually on the Fibonacci retracement around the 0.236. So that's going into the red territory. That also would put it in a bearish trend pattern position, once again being below that 21 EMA. And historically, especially since that $1 zone, we haven't had many regions where it had much time that it lasted above the 21 EMA. As you guys can see here, there's like 2 days or 1 day of above, and then it came back down, and then 2 days above, then down below, 1 day above, didn't work. And then we had a little bit of a phase here from November 18th lasting all the way to December 8th. So that was a pretty good little run that took place. But unfortunately, after that run, when it came back down underneath the 21 EMA, it ended up going consolidated for a while. Then a further drop took place, which actually essentially removed that entire massive candle gain that took place back on the November 18th. In fact, at one point, it dropped even so far down below, it was going towards the territory what we saw in early November. Further level drop down below, I'm also looking at a level of support right about here, which would be at 25 cents or 0.2517. All right, now let's go take a look at XRP. And just looking at XRP, it's not really decided it's wanting to do much. The RSI is suggesting slightly oversold. The technical, you can't see it on the chart right behind my webcam here, but it's suggesting sell. It's not on strong sell, but it's on sell. It's down below the 21 EMA, so it's suggesting on a daily perspective that this is still a bearish position. What it's going to do today is really anyone's guess. It could just end up flatlining, as a lot of people still believe that XRP is going to come out of this lawsuit totally fine. They'll kick right back up and go ahead and push on up. There's a social influencer from YouTube named Keemstar. He just spent a lot of money, and he actually posted about this. He's basically taking a gamble on XRP, thinking that after the lawsuit it'll come back and do really well. So he's also getting ridiculed by a lot of people in the crypto space, and I think it's understandable so too, is that like they're getting delisted, and the whole point of them going to court is the XRP, aka Ripple, they may be doing something illegal. That's why they're going to court. And so for a social influencer, out of everything that's out there, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Orchid, you name Chainlink, something else that's actually got more credibility to it, and you're going to take a risk and you're going to publicly state it and essentially endorse something that's on the verge of being considered something that's illegal, right? There's plenty of other projects that he could have done that with, and I think that was a really poor taste move for him to do so, and that's my opinion on that. Now, looking at this level, if it decides that it wants to drop down further below, I'd be looking at a major level of support right around 22 cents or 0.2208. A break above the 21 EMA is at 30 cents. A further continuation up would actually then see right about inside of here. Yes. All right. Let me just go and get that lined up slightly better. There we go. That would actually be all the way up to a high position of 43 cents. Very unrealistic based on the given circumstances, but you never know. Stuff is unpredictable with this stuff. So right now it's suggesting that it's a little bit in the red, but not much action that's really taking place. Curious to see how this is going to take place over the next 24 hours. Be extremely cautious with this stuff, guys. Bottom levels, we see 17 cents, further decline all the way down to 11 cents. And potentially, something that might end up happening, keep this in mind, if it drops all the way down to 11 cents, right when you can't do any more purchasing on Coinbase, somebody could go to another exchange if they're still working with XRP and then start buying it up at those really low prices and accumulating. And I have a feeling that something like that might end up happening. They start creating this FUD, this fear, uncertainty, and doubt in everyone's mind. People are like, crud, it's going to zero. I might as well sell mine too. And then some of those exchanges that people in your country you don't have access to, they're able to access it over there and accumulate a ton of it. So then once it comes back, guess what? They've got a much higher position. They were able to get it way cheaper. And now people are going to be buying back in after they've now lost money. And yeah, it's going to be a hot mess. I think that's something that we could end up seeing. But you guys let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video here. And if you guys are new to the channel, once again, don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the thumbs up like button. Let's try to get to 50 likes on this video. And also click the bell icon so you can stay up to date with all the latest cryptocurrency news and technical analysis. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys thought about everything, or if you just want to even say hello to me. I am on Twitter at AtlasOfficialTV if you want to check me out. At Atlas Official TV on Twitter. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next episode.